Hi guys, so this video is going to be a video where I basically show you loads of dupes for MAC lipsticks. I'm not actually sure how many I have, but I'm duping the majority of them in this. I've just left out some of the ones that I didn't have any dupes for in my collection. So I've been planning this video for so long, like swatching all my lipsticks and stuff, writing down all of the ones that kind of are similar colours and ones that are kind of almost exact dupes. So I'm just going to get straight into it. And if you think that some of the MAC lipstick colours look different to what yours look like, just bear in mind that I have two massive like softbox lights. I'm not sure what the kind of settings are on my camera. I don't know if the colours look like entirely realistic. And also another thing is, in my videos I increase the saturation to 130 just because I like things to be a little bit brighter, and without it, like, my videos are a bit kind of dull looking. I've tied them all up in little bundles like this. So the first dupe is probably one of the most popular. I have actually spoken about this dupe before in my half high-end for half drugstore video before, and that is the dupe for Velvet Teddy. I'm just going to zoom you in a little bit. So obviously Velvet Teddy is a super popular colour. That's what it looks like by itself. The first one is probably the most similar. This is Wet n Wild Bare It All, and if you're in the UK you can get this off various websites and you can also get it off eBay, so that's what that one looks like. The next dupe I've also spoken about before. This is the Primark PS Love Nude Lip Liner. So this is the Primark lip liner. And the final dupe, which I haven't actually spoken about before, is the Essence XXXL Long Lasting Lip Gloss, the matte, in the shade Soft Nude, and this is kind of like a soft matte lip cream. Oh, smells like toffee or something, but this is also actually a really close dupe, so that is that one there. So I'm now just going to put all of them on my lips to show you guys. I'm going to put Velvet Teddy on my top lip and the other three on my bottom lip. And I just want to apologise in advance for the applications. Obviously I'm going to try and work through this video quite quickly, otherwise it will be like an hour long. So this is Velvet Teddy on the top lip. I'm then applying the Essence one. That is pretty much an exact dupe. This is amazing. Are you actually serious? Like, even the finish and everything, like, oh my goodness, that is literally an exact dupe. And then applying the Primark one. So I put the Primark one on kind of half my lip here, and then I'm putting the Wet n Wild one on the other half. So as you can see, they are all pretty much exact dupes of Velvet Teddy, and they are all so cheap. The next lipstick that I'm going to be duping is Stone by MAC. So this is what Stone looks like. It is a very kind of brown grey kind of colour. This is what it looks like on my hand. Again, I do have three dupes for this. These are all from American brands, but you can get them in the UK. The first one is Colourpop Kapow, which is actually a liquid lipstick. So this is Kapow next to Stone. The next one is Colourpop Lip Pencil in Wet. This is pretty much an exact dupe. So that is Wet and that is Stone. And then the final dupe is the Maybelline Grey Over It lipstick, and this is matte. And the Grey Over It one is a slight tad bit more brown, so that is Grey Over It. So I'm now just going to apply these all onto my lips. As always, the MAC lipstick is going on the top lip. I'm doing the Maybelline one first. As you can see, the Maybelline one is a little bit more brown, but it's pretty much the kind of same effect. And then doing the Colourpop Lip Pencil. Pretty much the exact same colour, just a little bit more matte. And then finally Colourpop Kapow. This does dry down to a matte finish, but I'm actually not going to let it dry because I need to get this off my lips so I can move on to the next colour. But as you can see, they are very, very similar. It's pretty much Stone, but in a liquid lipstick form. And then moving on to Twig, and this used to be one of my favourite colours. It's not so much anymore. I kind of prefer my brown colours now rather than pinks, but this is a really pretty colour, obviously super popular. And this one I actually have the most amount of dupes for, so I'm just going to give this a little swatch. This is what the colour looks like. The first dupe I have, and probably the best dupe, is the Saturated Colour lipstick in the shade... what shade are you? First Base. So as you can see, that is a very, very similar colour to Twig. The next dupe that I have... oh my god, there's motorbikes going up and down the road. The next dupe that I have is the Kiko Milano Lip Pencil. This is the Smart Lip Pencil in the shade 712. So this is the Kiko lip pencil here. That is a very, very, very similar colour as well. And then have Makeup Revolution Looking Ahead, and this is actually completely smushed and broken, so I'm going to have to be careful with this one. I would say that this one is probably a bit more brown toned than Twig, but it's still a very similar colour. I then have China Rose by Collection, which is probably a little bit more pink toned. Yeah. This is China Rose by Collection, and this is Twig. I then have Asia by Rimmel London. This is a slight bit more mauve. So that is Asia there, and that's Twig. And then finally I have Lumiere by Colourpop, which is one of their lippy sticks. And for some reason, this is actually quite a good dupe for Twig. So that's Lumiere, and this is Twig. So I'm putting Twig on my top lip. So this is First Base by Saturated Colour. So as you can see, they are very similar, very similar actually. They are super similar. And then using the Kiko lip pencil. It's pretty much identical, but it's just a bit more matte. I then have the Makeup Revolution Looking Ahead, which is broken. Terrible, terrible application, but you kind of get the idea. I then have China Rose by Collection, which is probably the least similar. But it's still a similar colour. And then I then have Asia by Rimmel. This is actually really similar. And then finally we have Colourpop Lumiere, which is actually melting because it's so hot. Okay, so this is actually a bit more kind of purple toned when you actually put it on the lips. It looks more similar on my hand than it did on my lips. Am I the only one that hates the smell of the Colourpop lippy sticks? To me they smell like washing up liquid, it's really weird. Next I'm moving on to Well, which is one of my all-time favourite MAC lipsticks. I love this so much. So this is what Well looks like. I then have two dupes for this. The first one is the Rimmel Kate lipstick in the shade 48. And this I think is a tiny bit more brown, but it's a very similar colour to Well, and I think if you apply this quite sheerly you get a very similar finish. And the second dupe I have is the Colourpop liquid lipstick in Beeper, and also Dolce K by Kylie Cosmetics. It's also a dupe for Well, but obviously I don't want to show that because it's like more expensive, so. And this is Beeper. So the first one I'm doing is the Rimmel one in 48. So it's a very similar colour, it's just a tad bit darker and it's like not matte, it's a lot more shiny. And then we have Beeper by Colourpop. These look a lot more similar once they have dried down, but I'm not actually going to wait for it to dry down. I'm really sorry because my time is running out, my camera is flashing red, and I have dinner soon, so. And then duping Brave, which is another super popular colour. I don't really like this that much anymore, I just feel like it's not very me. So this is what Brave looks like. It's just kind of like a neutral sort of pinky colour really. I then have three dupes for this. The first dupe is the Calvin Klein lipstick in the shade First Kiss, and I got this in a set in TK Maxx, which was like really cheap, and this is pretty much an identical colour. So if you can Google this and find this online, then I would really recommend it. So that is it next to Brave. I then have this Too True Wow gloss for lips. It's a very similar colour, it's just a more glossy finish. So as you can see, this is Brave and this is that one. And then finally I have the oh god, I dropped it. Then finally I have the Revlon Just Bitten Kissable Balm Stain in the shade Honey Douse. And this is a lot kind of sheerer, but it is a very similar colour when it's actually on the lips. So the first one that I'm trying on as the dupe is the Calvin Klein one. As you can see, these colours are pretty much identical. The next one is the Too True Wow Gloss for Lips in number 3 Perfect Pout. So this one is slightly lighter and it's definitely more glossy. The final one is the Revlon Just Bitten Kissable Balm Stain in Honey Douse. So I would say maybe this Revlon one is a tiny little bit more pink and bright, but overall it is a very similar colour. Okay, so next up I have Viva Glam 2, and this was actually my second ever MAC lipstick. I barely ever wear it, to be honest. I think it's just a bit too light for me. I'm much more into my kind of darker nudes now, but this is a really pretty nude colour. I think this is a really good one if you're starting out in a MAC lipsticks and you want to have something that's kind of nude. And the dupe that I actually found for this one is a new discovery. This is a Natural Collection lipstick in the shade Fig Leaf, and I got this in my Natural Collection testing makeup video, and this is the closest dupe I could find. So this is Viva Glam 2 and this is Fig Leaf. So as you can see, they are very similar colours. So I would say that they are pretty much exact dupes. Like, the colour looks identical to me. I don't know how it's coming across on camera, but in real life these literally look the same. Next I have Taupe, which is actually one of my all-time favourite MAC lipsticks. I did actually find this one pretty hard to dupe, to be honest, but the colours I got are pretty close. So this is what Taupe looks like. It's kind of like a brownie sort of colour with a slight red undertone. And the two dupes that I have for this are the Wet n Wild lipstick in the shade Sandstorm. So this is Sandstorm there. It's a tiny little bit more red, I think. And then I have the Rimmel lip liner in Spice. Spice is actually a lot more red. I don't really think that's that great of a dupe of this one, which is Taupe. So I'm only going to try on the Wet n Wild one. So as you can see, they are very, very similar colours. I would say that Taupe is just a little bit more brown, but on the lips they look very similar. So the next one is one of my favourites. I don't wear this that often, but I definitely will be in the winter time. This is Viva Glam Ariana Grande. This is such a gorgeous, like, dark purple colour. This is what it looks like, and the dupe that I found for this is the Kiko Milano lip liner in the shade 710. So this is the Ariana Grande one, and this is the Kiko one. I would say that the Kiko one is a slight bit more kind of berry toned and red, and the Ari one is more purple, but it's the closest dupe that I could find in my collection. Yikes, that is some bad application. Another terrible application. As you can see, the Kiko one is a little bit more red toned and the Ariana Grande one is slightly more purple toned. The next dupe I have is of Creme de Nude. This was my first ever MAC lipstick and I have never worn it outside because I hate this colour on me. It is way too nude. So this is what it looks like on my hand. As you can see, you can barely see it. On me it looks like concealer lips. And the dupe that I have for this is another lipstick that I used to wear all the time when I was really into the whole like concealer lips thing. This is e.l.f. Natural Nymph, and as you can see, it's pretty much nearly gone. Like, I used to wear this a lot. So this is the MAC one and this is the e.l.f. one. The finish of these is very different. The MAC one is a cream sheen and this one is matte. Okay, so as you can see, they're similar colours, but they just have different finishes, but they overall are pretty similar colours. They both look terrible on me. I then have MAC Retro, and this is a kind of reddish brown colour, which looks like this, and I found this very hard to dupe actually. The only dupe that kind of came close is the Milani liquid lipstick in Loved. This is Milani Loved and this is MAC Retro. I think the Milani one is a bit more kind of red, so I'm now just trying on the Milani one. Okay, so on the lips, they're actually pretty similar colours. Yeah, actually, they look very similar on the lips. I think the MAC one is just maybe a tiny little bit more brown. Second last one, guys. So I then have Amorous, which is a kind of berryish mauvey colour. I don't really know how to describe it, to be honest. It's just kind of like a mauvey kind of berry. So I couldn't find like an exact dupe for this, but I do have two kind of similar colours. The first one is the Primark lip liner in the shade, what shade are you? Number 9. So this is Amorous and this is MAC number 9. And then the second dupe that I have is the Sana Cleor liquid lipstick in the shade Vintage Mauve. So this is Vintage Mauve, this is Amorous, and this is the Primark one. So I'm doing the Primark one first. Okay, so it's kind of like a slightly less, yeah, like I said, a slightly less kind of berry colour of Amorous, and it's definitely a lot more matte, but I do think if you do own Amorous, this would be a really good lip liner to go with it. It's only £1. So next I'm swatching the Sana Cleor Vintage Mauve. This is a kind of similar colour, but again, it's definitely less berry toned and it's more kind of nudie, but again, it's along the same lines. We are down to the last dupe of them all. So this final dupe is Pink Plaid by MAC, obviously. And this again is one of my least used MAC lipsticks. I don't really like this colour on me at all. I'm pretty sure I've worn it only like once or twice out of the house. So this is what the colour looks like. And the only reason that I bought this Revlon lipstick is because I was told that it was a dupe of MAC Pink Plaid, so I actually got this one first and then I went and got MAC Pink Plaid. So this is Pink Pout by Revlon. But this one is a lot more kind of like lilac-y toned. I don't really think these are that great dupes, to be honest. This is Pink Plaid and this is Pink Pout. I mean, they are similar, but just not identical. So I guess they are pretty similar. The Revlon one is just definitely a lot more kind of bright. I'm not a massive fan of just kind of like straight up pinks. So that is all of the MAC lipstick dupes that I have to show you guys. I spent so long filming this video and my lips are now on fire, so if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. That would be great. I hope you guys have found this helpful. If you did, let me know down below. Also let me know if you have any dupes yourself. I would personally love to hear them. I love finding dupes of stuff, and yeah, that would be great if we could all share like our dupes in the comments down below. If you guys are new here and you aren't already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe. So I hope you guys are having a great day and I will see you in my next video. Bye!